And here's how it finished. Final seconds of regulation. Panthers down 4-3. Empty net. Sam Reinhart. Are you kidding me with the equalizer? The latest game-tying goal behind only Corey Perry's game-tying goal with 18 seconds left in Game 2. The Panthers won that one in double overtime. So Reinhart the hero for now as we go to overtime in Sunrise. Leon Draisaitl, second in Hart Trophy voting, first in your playbook for Edmonton. He wins it! Oh, what a game! Leon Draisaitl, most overtime goals scored in a single postseason in NHL history. That was his fourth this postseason, and it is the difference as the Oilers win it 5-4 and tie this series up at 2 games apiece. They were down 3-0 in the first period. Get this, teams up 3 goals at the end of 1 in the Stanley Cup Final, 37-0 all time. Now, 37-1. Get some instant analysis. Welcome in CBS Sports HQ hockey analyst Pete Blackburn. Pete, that game was absolutely bonkers. I said it in the open. It went from this game is over to wait, it's not over to wait, just what just happened. What can you say about what you just witnessed?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it before the game, but like talking about the Edmonton Oilers and their resilience. And we were talking about the resilience based off of what happened in Game 3 and their ability to flush it going into Game 4. Well, they had to flush the first period of this game after they enter into first intermission down 3 goals. They end up being able to do it. And, you know, to the Panthers' credit, they tie the game late. Like, they're a resilient group, too. These are just 2 great hockey teams that have been playing great hockey for 3 quarters of this series. Obviously, game 3, Edmonton stunk. But that is an anomaly in this series. We're talking about an unbelievable instant classic through 4 games. This one lived up to the hype. Edmonton, a real roller coaster of emotions. Before the game, I thought this was a must-win for them. Heading into overtime, it felt like a must win, given the emotional lows and highs that they experienced during the course of that game. They are very, very lucky that they came away with the win here. And, you know, lucky in the sense that that Leon Draisaitl goal to win it was supposed to be a pass. It ends up in the back of the net. But for a guy like Leon, who had a weird night in which he passed up a number of looks, and I started to become genuinely concerned about his performance and some of those looks and shots that he wasn't taking, that feels very good for Leon Draisaitl, and it should feel very good for the Oilers as well.
Yeah, what do you say about Edmonton down 3-0 after 1? They score 3 goals in the second. They take the lead on a Jake Wallman goal, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, they're going to come back and win this. And then you see the Sam Reinhart goal, and you're like, oh no, they're not going to win this. And then in overtime, it's Leon Draisaitl. What does it say about this team? They're looking at a 3-1 deficit, right? And now this is a brand new series, all knotted up at 2 games apiece.
Yeah, I imagine the belief in that room is strong, as it has always been. Like, they've been able to flush games and bounce back and be better off for them. Obviously, the first period did not go the way that they expected. They rebounded from that. And then you get the goalie pull. Stuart Skinner comes out. Calvin Pickard comes in. And Pickard was great in this game, as was Sergei Bobrovsky. Both of them came up with a number of massive saves. I would say, you know, neither one particularly deserved to lose this game, but you needed one team to win, one team to lose. Fortunately for Calvin Pickard, I mean, he came up big with a number of massive stops, including one in overtime on a Sam Bennett shot that hits the glove, hits the post. And then, you know, that effectively could have ended, like spiritually could have ended the Oilers season. I felt like their season would have been over had that goal gone in. Just a few minutes later, they score the game winner, and now we're heading back into Edmonton with an all-even series. That's kind of how tight this series has been to this point, where one bounce one way or another is determining these games, 3 of which have gone to overtime. So, you know, a best of 3 from this point out sounds good to me. It's anybody's series.
I want to take you back to a moment in the second period when Calvin Pickard comes in, and right, it's a 3-1 game, and there's a turnover in their own zone. Anton Lundell on a little mini break there, right in front of the net, and Pickard is able to deny it. that moment perhaps might get overlooked in a game that goes to overtime with the dramatic finish. How huge was that save in that moment, down 3-1?
Yeah, you're so right, and that absolutely should not be overlooked, because that was also on the heels of Edmonton getting back on the board. And anytime that you give yourself a little bit of belief by getting on the board and chipping away at what was a 3-goal deficit to then immediately surrender one, I think that was huge, not only to keep momentum in Edmonton's favor and feel like, you know, they might have a chance in this thing, but also for Calvin Pickard, who was fresh in net in the second period, to get that first massive stop, to get a little bit of confidence behind him as a guy coming in cold in this series, that may have been the turning point in this game.
How do you now come back from this if you're the Florida Panthers and it's 2-2 and you just saw a 3-goal lead just absolutely evaporate? You're thinking you won this game. How do you come back from a loss like this when you're thinking, hey, we're about to be up 3-1 and now we're tied 2-2?
Well, I mean, think about the scale of it, because they blew a 3-goal lead, but last year they blew a 3-game lead.
Facts.
And they still ended up winning that Stanley Cup final. So I don't worry about it on Florida's end. Obviously, would they have liked to get this game and go up 3-1 in the series? Yeah, of course. That's a commanding lead versus a split. This was a big swing game, no doubt about it. But I really do not believe in, you know, the faith that Florida has being shook to its core as a result of this game. Paul Maurice is very good at keeping his team very composed. You know, going back to last year, Game 7, he had them in the right mindset. So I don't worry about them. I think that it was much more important for Edmonton to get this game, just based off of how difficult it would be to beat these Florida Panthers for a second year in a row, 3 games in a row.
Remember when we talked post Game 1 and we talked about how can you not get romantic about hockey? Like, this is exactly what I'm talking about here, Pete. I know you can appreciate. Like, the story is writing itself. It's not over yet. We were clear about that. Calvin Pickard comes in Game 4, gives up 1 goal, but does enough to keep them in the game here, right? And then what if that's the spark? What if that's the spark for Edmonton, where they lose in 7 games last year, perhaps now they win in 7 games this year?
I mean, I think we're all hoping for it. If you're a neutral fan, everybody wants to see this go 7 games at this point, right? Like, you ask, how can you not be romantic about hockey? I feel like the answer is pretty clear. It's you're probably rooting for one of these 2 teams, and you want this to be over as soon as possible. You're not enjoying much of it at all. I mean, even as a neutral party in this game, I was ready to rip my hair out. My stomach was turning. I was so nervous and anxious watching this game, just based off of the stakes in such a pivotal swing game heading into overtime with the emotional highs and lows of this game. So I'm absolutely romantic right now. I would not blame anybody with a rooting interest if they need to sleep for the next 3 days straight after that game. But man, as somebody who just wants to see a long series and just wants to enjoy the game, give me 7 and give me overtime in every game from this point on. Best of 3. I'm so excited. This has been everything, and everything I could have wanted and more.
This series basically encapsulates what your podcast is. What chaos, right?
100%.
I mean, this is it. Like, you're going to have a ton to be able to talk about on your podcast, but plenty to talk about here as the Oilers rally back to win it 5-4 in overtime. Leon Draisaitl with the game winner. 4 overtime goals scored in a single postseason in NHL history. That is the most. Pete Blackburn, wow, what a game it was. Recapping Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final here with us on HQ. Pete, thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Wow. Wow, indeed. So we are all knotted up at 2 games apiece. The series heading back to Edmonton. Game 5 Saturday night, 8 Eastern. Then it's Game 6 back in Sunrise on Tuesday. And a Game 7, if necessary, goes to Edmonton. Will they take it 7 games like it went 7 games last year? We will wait to see. But what a series this has been. 3 of the 4 games going to overtime. Coming up, we've got a live report from Sunrise. The fans there feeling like the sickest in America when they had a 3-goal lead. It evaporates. And what a game it was. Keep it locked. And the Oilers even it up at 2 games apiece. Let's get right to the site. Welcome in CBS Sports HQ reporter Mike Cugno, who joins us from Sunrise. And Mike, give us your perspective on where you were in the arena when that game-winning goal went in.
I was standing just feet from where we are right now, and the goal right behind us is actually right where Leon Draisaitl tried to slide that puck across the crease, ends up going off Nico Mikkola's skates. You could just feel the wind and the energy just get sucked out of this building, especially considering just moments before Sam Bennett, who is obviously now a Conn Smythe favorite in this series, hits Calvin Pickard's glove and then off the post. So the Panthers were just inches away, and the Panther bench got up. They thought it was in for a split moment. So such a turn of emotions in this building, really heartbreak. But Panther fans, I know they blew a 3-0 lead in this game. They've seen worse. Obviously, that 3-0 series lead last year. So it's time to regroup and just go back on the road and try to forget this one ever happened if that's possible. But they're going to have to win one on the road if they want to win this series.
Mike, I just want to give our viewers the context. Of course, you work for CBS Sports HQ, but you also follow the Panthers, cover the Panthers for CBS in Miami. So you know this team. You're in the locker room. You're at morning skate. You're talking to the team. You're talking to Paul Maurice. They had a 3-goal first period lead. Now you're asking, well, how can they be resilient? And the easy answer would be, well, they had a 3-0 series lead last year and came back and won in 7. But that's a different year, different players, different mindset. How do you look at yourself in the mirror and go, wow, we blew a 3-goal lead. We were inches away from being up 3-1, and now it's 2-2.
Forget being up 3-1. This series could have been over. They had a 2-goal lead all the way back in game 1. So this is a bit of a gut punch, but they have no other choice at this point. Before the series started, I remember asking guys in the locker room, like, hey, you know, it's one thing to know what the Oilers can do physically on the ice, their talent, their skill. But mentally, you've kind of got a glimpse last year of just how strong their fortitude really is, able to come back in that series. And they said they knew they had to put their foot on the gas the entire time. There were lapses of that in this game. Obviously, that second period, they were a little passive there. They were on the penalty kill a lot. That second period obviously flips this game. But the good news is for the Panthers is they like playing on the road. They're 9-3 this postseason away from this building. They say they like getting away from the distractions of family and friends. They just get to be together. We're now going to have to see if that'll hold true, if they can get it done over there. But this is a team that kind of follows suit to whatever Paul Maurice says. He's no doubt the leader of this group. And you know, we talk about player-led teams at times, but Paul Maurice really sets the tone here. He's going to have to figure out what the message is going to be. He says he likes to feel out the room before he delivers the message. He's going to have to feel out the room for the next 24, 36 hours and come up with something good now to get it done on the road.
Yeah, this is a brand new series now, Mike, as you know. And look, when Wallman scores that goal to make it 4-3 in the third, did you happen to see fans leaving the arena, which I hate to see that? You never like to see that. We saw a couple of fans walk out like, oh, it's over, and they gave up.
I did not see that from my vantage point. Again, I'm in the middle of kind of the fans here. We're in that 100 lower bowl section. We didn't really see that. And honestly, how could you leave once that goal goes in? Because there's still 3, right? Considering what we've seen in this series, the Corey Perry goal with 18 seconds left. This one comes with 19 seconds left. That also happening right in front of us. Not sure how that puck got through a crowd and was able to get in. I think fans are just strapped in and buckled up for anything can happen in this series, and anything has happened in this series. You know, I know Game 3 was a bit of a mess, but each single one of these games has given fans something to go home with and talk about.
So if you're a Florida Panthers fan, why do you believe that you can beat this Oilers team after they just tied it up in your barn, took you to overtime? You had a 3-goal lead, they wiped it away. Why is there still belief if you are a Florida Panther fan right now?
Well, I think you go back to last year, right? You have to lean on your experience in this situation. Obviously, blowing that 3-0 series lead, it gets talked about a lot. and you would think all the momentum was gone. But this Panthers team knows what it takes, knows that feeling of being in series clinching games. They know what it's like to be on the brink. You go back 2 years ago in the night series. There's so much experience on this team, and yes, the Oilers may have the top 2 players in this series, but the Panthers, I still believe, have the deeper team, and that right there is enough to believe. There was a big standing ovation when here in this building when the third line in overtime came out onto the ice. Brad Marchand, Anton Lundell, Eetu Luostarinen. When those guys come on the ice, that's your third line, and those guys garner that kind of reaction in this building. That's where I think fans bring their belief when it comes to this team, just the depth.
It's going to be a tough plane ride. A plane ride you know all too well. An absolute trek to getting to Edmonton. So enjoy the ride. I know you'd obviously like to be celebrating a win for the team you cover, but now we've got another great series on our hands. We went from potentially 3-1 to now 2-2, and we head to Game 5 in Edmonton. Mike Cugno with his perspective joining us from the rink side there in Sunrise. Mike, thanks so much. Appreciate the perspective.
You got it.
Great stuff there from Mike Cugno. His perspective rinkside, able to kind of give us some context there about this Florida Panthers team. And this series, I mean, it's one word, bonkers. 3 overtime games in the first 4 games. And there was only one other series where the first 4 games went to overtime. In fact, all 5 of those games went to overtime in 1951. The Toronto Maple Leafs beat the Montreal Canadiens in a series that went 5 games. All of them went to overtime. That's bonkers, too. This game was the definition of bonkers, and now we have ourselves a tied series. 2 games apiece. Game 5, Saturday night, back in Edmonton.